Alright people, got a 96 Yamaha Wave, Raider, Venture, Runner, doesn't matter. It's all the same. Got the 1100 triple, you know. It doesn't matter if this is the 1100 triple or the, I believe it's like the 780. Don't quote me, the 2-cylinder version. You know what I'm talking about. So, here's my problem. Press my start button, nothing's happening, but listen. Gotta click. Okay, so easy diagnosis. You have no start but click. Your options are you press the button and it starts and the starter engages, and it doesn't start, then it's something wrong with your engine or carburetor, or this is more of an electrical issue. So I press the button, I hear a click coming from right over there, indicating you need, where is it? One of these. The reason why you need one of these is because it's probably been replaced before, it got wet, or you're like me and you don't have neutral and reverse, so you start stop a lot to get on a dock, whatever. Sorry, I have a new starter in there too, but I replaced that just because I was doing a bunch of engine work and I wanted to never do it again. So, starter solenoid. This was 14 bucks on Amazon. It'll fit a lot of things: dirt bikes, quads, and jet skis. All that you're looking for is that you have really a red wire with a bullet connector and a black wire with a flat washer connector. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Well, now you can buy one of these from SBT or eBay that is black, completely waterproofed, in a nice case for about 100 bucks. I promise you it's the same exact thing, except they covered it in some nice stuff. If you get your cover on right, you don't need a waterproof one. So, whatever. Here's how we diagnose this. I press the start button, it clicks, starter doesn't engage. Simple enough. Now, if I press the start button and I heard nothing at all, you might want to check your red. You have these two wires right here. Look for this cable. Okay, oh, sorry, you can't see. You have your steering column, and there's this bundle. Comes down, only two wires, only two plugs come out of it. 4 wires. Your black and white is your kill switch. Your red and your brown is your start button. Pretty simple. You might want to check that connector if your starter doesn't do anything or if you have no click. And you also might want to start checking your ground on your battery. Check where it goes to your block, and check your positive and check where it goes. It comes all the way, it goes in there, kind of along the engine, in a tube, and then into this box. Okay, well, this box right here has to come off. So you have a bunch of 8s. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd say 5 or 6, I can't count, whatever, 5 or 6 8mm bolts that take off this black plastic cover. I will do that real quick and show you what's under it. Alright, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. And if you're wondering, hey, mine are in the same location, but they're not 8s. Well, don't worry, SBT sells a kit and they replace the 8s with 10s. A little bit easier, a little more common. People can put less tools in their jet ski to work on it. But, okay, if you're wondering, that's what the cover looks like on the inside. That's what it looks like from the outside. See the holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you turn it over, you have a little schematic of your wiring. So right over here is our starter solenoid. You can tell how it's hooked up. You can see the top wire, the bottom wire. It should look like this in there. This is your starting solenoid. You can see where the wire goes, it loops around and it goes over there. That's the way the ground goes. Excuse me. And then the positive wire should come underneath the this large battery wire and go out the box. But you don't need to worry about that. It's very simple once you actually look at it. So, if you're wondering what it looks like inside the box, get my camera as close as I can. So, this big box right here. Oh, let's see what you can see. This big box right here. We'll just do it like this. That big box right there is your CDI unit. Very expensive. But you can buy aftermarket ones now, I am told, and I've seen on eBay for about $100, which is awesome because then you can do some performance mods with them. A lot of them have a little USB port, so you can make a 1996 Jetski have some performance mods. Not much, but if you want to do some true performance mods, you want to work with your carburetors, air intakes, impellers, stuff like that. So I'm going to get this CDI box out of the way. It is 1, 2, and 3 10mm bolts, and the CDI will come out of the way and move to the side so we can get to our starter solenoid, which is directly under it. I will be right back. I forgot to mention one thing. If you haven't done so already, which you should have, I apologize for forgetting to mention this. Disconnect your battery terminal, your negative battery terminal at least, so that you kill all electrical to this, because now you're going to be digging into electrical and you don't want anything to touch or ground out that's not supposed to. You don't want to do damage. I just kind of figured out the hard way that I forgot to do that. Yeah, so disconnect your ground and continue taking off all your bolts for your CDI. Alright, so here you can see we got the CDI box out of the way, and I really don't need to completely unplug it and take it all the way out. You can if you want, just so, I don't know, just so you have some more room, but your starter solenoid will be sitting in that little holder, just like that. And all you gotta do is just grab it, pull it out. And now you just want to take off these two 10mm bolts and note which way the wires are. So, my wires run in parallel, okay? Just like on this diagram, right here, okay? So you can see it's literally the way that they pictured it. Yamaha does a good job of this. There's a top wire and a bottom wire. The top wire goes into the top port on the solenoid. The bottom wire goes into the bottom port on the solenoid. Now, to verify this, I like to do this. So, on my solenoid, the actual button, this is what actually activates your solenoid. This is where these wires go to your start-stop switch. When you press it, it activates the solenoid, and actually what it's doing is bridging this connection. This is from your battery, this is to your starter, and all it's doing is opening or closing this connection. So when it's open, your starter's turning. When it's closed, nothing's happening. But yeah, so you just want to note. So if you if you're not sure if your wires are correct running into your electrical box, just verify. So my top wire, right? I can see my top wire is a little prettier than my bottom wire, okay? But you could always mark it, and my top wire is closest to my ground on my solenoid. So top wire, ground. Bottom wire, red. So that's one way you can note it. And then all you're gonna have is, see this wire? Just a bullet connector. Just grab it. It's really hard to do with one hand. There you go. Grab it, pull it out, be done with it. And then you're gonna have a ground. So I take my finger, I find this wire, and I see that it goes, right there, to that bolt right there. I take that bolt out, and I find the ground, and I take the ground off, put the new ground in, put the bolt back in. Okay? It's a lot simpler. You should get the point. You're just finding that ground wire, following it to the bolt, and it's grounded to the frame, or in this case the block. You gotta take the bolt out, take the ground off, put your new ground on, put the bolt back in. Pretty simple. And then the red wire, you just put it back into that port. So, I'm gonna go ahead and take all this apart. Alright, and once again I forgot to mention something. Alright, so I have everything disconnected, okay? And I have my top wire with my ground port, right? Now I have my bottom wire. I'm gonna take off my bottom wire that was on the red side. Oh, this could be a little hard to show you. And there's also this wire. Only one of these ports has two wires. See, I'm trying to get this camera to focus. I'm so sorry, guys. Please excuse this. I'm using my phone, and I have a GoPro, but there you go. See, these two wires, let's see. See, you have, there you go, that's a clear shot. If you don't understand this, man, you probably should know Jetski, just to be honest. You have two wires that are paired, and a single wire. This one's single, those two are paired, and they go on the same terminal on your new starter solenoid. So there you go. And now let's start putting the new stuff on. And let's pull this old one all the way out to show you guys the brand of it. It lasted actually really long time. If you see this on Amazon, I must give it 5 stars because it did a phenomenal job actually. I don't care if it went out after a year, and it probably went out after about 1,000 starts. I'm not kidding. So it just says 1PZ. It was some cheap Amazon stuff. This is really good because it's so cheap, and this is such an easy job. You don't need to spend a lot of money doing this. And as you can see, it's definitely been pretty hot. It gets pretty hot. So out with the old and in with the new. So let's get this thing installed. Alright guys, we are almost done. I got the CDI box back on, starter solenoids all hooked up, and something you can do to test to make sure you don't have the wires backwards is take your ground wire, hold it in your hand, hold the rubber boot part of it, and touch it to the negative. If you touch it to the negative, get it on there kind of good, hold it on there, don't worry, 12 volts, this thing's not going to hurt you, okay? Don't be so scared of it. Don't touch both at the same time, just touch your negative. And make sure you're not touching anything inside. Touch it. And if your starter activates, you have it wrong. You have you have those two positive wires backwards on your solenoid. For my solenoid, actually, I couldn't really show you guys, but sorry. The orientation of my starter solenoid is backwards. So just verify that you put the same wires on the same side. So I had the 2 red wires on the side of the solenoid that had the 1 red bullet connector. That should be very self-explanatory. And then I had the single red wire going to the side of the solenoid that had the black grounding post on it. So just verify that you put it back on the same order, but your orientation might be different. So mine is actually flipped now, but I'm still going to the same side of the solenoid. So just make sure you do that, because that's the most common problem, is that you probably did that wrong. And if you touch your ground port to your battery and your starter activates, well, you put your starter solenoid on backwards, and it's not going to do what it's supposed to. It's going to be activating when it's not supposed to. So just something to think about. And I will get this cover back on and show you that it works. Another thing you might want to do, inspect this seal right here on your box. You have a nice seal. Inspect it, make sure it's not dried, cracked, or completely missing, because if it is, well, your electrics are going to get fried if you ever sink this thing, which, guess what? If you have a jet ski, you will sink it eventually. From flipping it too many times, dumb friends, having too much fun, you will sink it eventually. And it's okay. That's why they put a lot of foam in them. You get it, you have it towed to shore, you drain it, and if you did everything right, you should be okay. But if you haven't sunk a jet ski, I promise you, you will. And if you really think you'll never sink a jet ski, well then kudos to you, because you're doing everything extremely responsible, and you're probably not having as much fun on your jet ski. Let's be honest. Alright, let's get this cover on. Alright, so now I got my battery terminal back on, both of them tight, nice, and I got my cover back on. I do mine in a crisscross order, so I go top, alright, well, you don't really care, so I go top to bottom, just kind of make an X. When you're tightening them down, there's only 5 of them, so just do that because it's plastic. Don't break them. That cover is very hard to find. A lot of people break those covers. Don't go crazy, and get them nice and snug, and that's about it. And now, as you can see, I can lift up my key, and my starter's engaging perfectly. That's how you fix a starter solenoid on a 96 through... There's so many years this could work. I think this can work all the way up to like 2004. Starter solenoids haven't changed much. There's just, instead of bullet connectors, there's plugs, waterproof plugs, and honestly, they might just be in a different location, but they look the same, they act the same. They're never going away. Your car has a starter solenoid. Everything has a starter solenoid somewhere in it that has an electric starter. This method will work on all kinds of jet skis, but it's a very common problem for both Yamaha, Polaris, Sea-Doo, Kawasaki, and they're all going to be just about the same part. Sea-Doo makes some really funky ones, and they're really expensive, but they do the exact same thing, and this video would tell you how to do it just by looking at it. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give me a like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube thing. I'll catch you later in the next one.